but we are also pushing back on status quo. We are challenging traditional tack choices and traditional techniques that we now see are causing more problems than they're solving.
Hey y'all, and welcome. You're listening to the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Dawn Johnson, small town cowgirl with Southern roots, blazing a trail as a Midwest ranch wife, mama, and businesswoman. The mission of Cowgirl Confessions is to share the wonderfully wild and Western life stories of cowgirls from all walks of life. We'll talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to navigating careers, cowboys, kids, and cattle. Legendary cowgirl Dale Evans said it best: cowgirl is a pioneer spirit, a special brand of American courage. The cowgirl faces life head on, lives by her own lights, and makes no excuses. Cowgirls take stands. They speak up. They defend the things they hold dear. A cowgirl might be a rancher, a barrel racer, a bull rider, or an actress, but she's just as likely to be a checker at the local Winn-Dixie, a full-time mother, a banker, an attorney, or an astronaut. If you're into wet saddle blankets, talks with God, buckets full of laughter, and the life lessons learned in the process, kick off your boots and settle in. I pray these stories encourage, empower, and give you just the leg up you need. Here's to embracing the cowgirl state of mind, no matter how wild and Western life may get along the way.
The Southern Belle Classic, the South's elite horse sale, will be held March 22nd and 23rd, 2024.
At the beautiful Stable View in Aiken, South Carolina.
Where 22 of the nation's top trainers and consigners will present 60 hand-selected horses.
Who have all been x-rayed and vet-checked prior to arrival.
Join us for 2 exciting days of previews, trial rides, food, and shopping.
Go to southernbelleclassic.com for more information.
Welcome to another episode of the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. Today, I'm having a pinch me moment because I have a bucket list guest on the podcast, and her name should and most likely does sound familiar to you. Today, we have Kendra Dixon from the Lone Star State of Texas. And as I said, if her name sounds familiar, it should. There's a good chance you've heard it at a pro rodeo as she's running down the alleyway to compete in the barrel racing. You might have seen her on RFD TV, where she was the host of the Women's Pro Rodeo Today. And she also might have been in your social media feed because she is the founder of Stall High, a social media alternative for horse people that has a wealth of opportunities for virtual clinics and coaching. She also is the founder of Rodeo for a Reason pageant. There is no shortage of things that we're going to get to talk about today. And you probably just need to have a notebook out, pen ready, because I'm confident there's going to be so much cowgirl wisdom shared here. Kendra, thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Well, that was a fantastic introduction. I'm honored to be here, Dakota, and excited to get to visit with you, and just really happy for the success of your podcast and for the invite today.
Well, thank you so much. And Kendra, before we dive into some of the really exciting things you have going on with Stall High, I want to take it back for a minute because I read an article about you and how, you're deeply immersed in the Western industry, have Western roots going back to your parents being involved with horses and rodeo. But I think my favorite part of what I read was how you and your dad had a truck called the Honey Bun Wagon. And I would love for you to share with our listeners, take us back to 5-year-old Kendra and riding in the Honey Bun Wagon with your dad.
Yeah, so I have always been a daddy's girl. I grew up in a little teeny tiny Texas town, Wells, Texas, which kind of makes a triangle between Nacogdoches and Lufkin. And my dad leased 1,500 acres and ran a ranch and had racehorses, and we fed cows, and basically he could not leave the house in the morning without me. So like any sound, any movement in that house, and my eye was going to crack open. And basically I schooled him pretty good. He knew not to leave me because I was going to give my mom heck if he did. So I just loved to get up and go anywhere my dad was going, to the cow sale, to go feed cows. We would go feed every morning, and he had an old beat up truck that we called the Honey Bun Wagon. And we would either go, there were 2 coffee shops in town. You could either go to the Coffee Cup, that's where my favorite waitress was. Her name is Patsy. Patsy took care of me. She took care of my dad and I both. Or we would go to Elo's. but every day we would get a honey bun, and that was my breakfast for my childhood for the most part.
I love those core cowgirl memories and just the way those little everyday things go on to shape us and help us be the people we are today. So just thanks for sharing that background. That makes me smile. So, okay, Kendra, walk us through what it has looked like to be the founder of Stall High. This was founded in 2020, but I'm sure there was a lot happening behind the scenes before then. So share with our listeners what this is all about and the journey to get there.
It looks like chaos. Uh, oh man, if you've ever tried to brush your teeth and chew Oreos at the same time, there's your visual. I didn't have a lot of forethought in it, quite frankly. Things happened really fast at the end of 2019, and I felt very clear, like that was the obvious thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're very open about your faith, as am I. And I felt like God was just highlighting to me, our people, we need our own social media platform like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when 2020, COVID hit. So up until then, I thought Stall High was going to be like a t-shirt brand.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was like a tongue-in-cheek, horse people are going to get it, wink, wink. Like maybe t-shirts and Buc-ee's and, Western trade shows and stuff like that. But I wasn't really understanding at the time where I was being led. I have loved teaching. I still love to teach barrel racing and horsemanship together. So my signature style has now become the Stall High style because my signature style is changing. It's getting an upgrade. But looking back now, I had clues, but I didn't catch them. So for the past, I'm going to say we've been on this property 21 years in July.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those years when I would go out to ride and I would be training horses by myself, in my mind, I was talking to an audience watching me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would visualize that. But I didn't know, I just thought I was going to be a clinician that traveled. I didn't understand the digital platform was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that my audience was going to be virtual. And I just thought every clinician thought like that. Like I thought every barrel racer or trainer is thinking in their head, like, how am I going to share this information? I just had this breakthrough, like revelation. I just got this. Oh my God, I just felt this horse do that. That makes total sense. Like I just had a breakthrough moment and I want to share it with somebody. And so when it became clear to us, 2020 really pushed us to put our clinics online. And it took a year to get it done. So we didn't host our first online clinic until March of 2021. And today we have a fully functioning online coaching system and new people coming in every week.
That is absolutely incredible. And I want to go back to something you said, because I was so there with you as you're explaining this visual of you riding and you're there by yourself, but you are thinking about how you're going to serve others, thinking about how you're going to teach them what you just realized, as you're sitting, in the saddle. And what was it like? I know you said it was like brushing your teeth and, eating Oreos at the same time, which is so relatable as any entrepreneur. I think anybody out there is like, yep, sister, I know exactly what that feels like. But whenever you did decide, was there one thing or were there just a chain of events where in 2019, before COVID happened, that you were like, digital is the way versus trying to set yourself up to be traveling to all these different clinics?
Yes. I was actually in a conference in California, and it was kind of a kingdom vision or like for kingdom entrepreneurs. I personally felt like God was saying to me and speaking to me in that moment, like I could hear that still small voice say, you need to run with social media. And I thought, well, actually, that makes a lot of sense because I host the show, Women's Pro Rodeo Today. The Facebook following is 154,000 people. Obviously, I love doing social media for that show. I love promoting my barrel horses online. Like I've been promoting social media way before 2019. So, I was so excited about that. But I really did not understand. Like I honestly thought I was going to come home and do organic posting for other brands. I didn't understand that my next step was going to be learning digital marketing. And I tried to. I started a little company called Gold Buckle Social Media. And for a year, I got every brand owner on the phone that I could think of and told them about my digital marketing team. And we can sell your products online. And they looked at me like I had 2 heads and 4 boots. I think we had maybe 2 paying clients, Accelerate Equine and the Cow Lot. So we sold a whole lot of blankets for Accelerate, and we sold a whole lot of hats for Glen Orms at the Cow Lot. But I was getting frustrated, like, Lord, why aren't my peers listening to me? Like, what am I failing to explain? And I finally just kind of got to that revelation. I woke up and I was like, every single day I tell my friends, like, what's in your hand? What you got? We can sell it. And I had to listen to what I was saying. Well, what did I have in my hands? A bit. I had a bit that I had been selling at clinics, very, small quantities per year. And I built my own little funnel, my own little website, had my ads manager test a few ads, and that bit sold out in 8 days.
Wow.
It went gangbusters. And so I got a dose of manufacturing. And here comes the chaos part. And then we knew that we needed to shift, and we wanted to shift from literal tangible products to the training. So just being on the show, Women's Pro Rodeo Today, I feel like really prepared me, understanding the process of editing and production. And so it wasn't completely new for me. I knew how to hire a camera crew, an editor. I knew a little bit about sound, and camera. So our first clinic that we ever filmed and produced online in front of a live audience is now our flagship course, and it's called Ride with Confidence.
When it comes to navigating careers, cowboys, kids, and cattle, it can feel lonely sometimes, like you're down in the trenches trying to do all the things. But I want to share with you that it doesn't have to feel that way. I joined the Cowgirls Over Coffee membership in May of 2020, and y'all, it has been such a gift. It has allowed me to connect with women with that Western and rural background that simply get it. They understand what I'm working with. We get to share strategies, encouragement, and hold each other accountable as we're pursuing goals in all of these different areas of life. To learn more, visit cowgirlsovercoffee.com or check out episode 45 of the Cowgirl Confessions podcast that features the founder of Cowgirls Over Coffee, Thea Larson. I hope to see you there.
Goodness, I could talk to you for hours, like just hearing how you got to where you're at. And I know those are just kind of bullet points along the way, but just gives me so much hope. And I'm like, girl, you could be having a whole course about business and I'd buy it. So put that on your list if you don't already have it there, Kendra. Okay, so you mentioned earlier that you have the stall high style because, you're really kind of evolving your signature style as Kendra Dixon. But before we dive into that, I would love for you to tell us about this thing I've been seeing in my social media because I follow you in Stall High, and it is called the Half Second Faster Challenge. Tell me about that.
I love the Half Second Faster Challenge. It's the highlight of my whole month. Every month. We started it in June of 23, and it's just gaining. So every month it's the same challenge, but we go a little bit deeper on the topics. So we're taking a deep dive, and yes, it is a challenge, our challenge to barrel racers, but we are also pushing back on status quo. We are challenging traditional tack choices and traditional techniques that we now see are causing more problems than they're solving. And so we're very passionate about Half Second Faster Challenge. It's free. There's a sign up. People go to our website, halfsecondfaster.com. They sign up for free. I love the backstage pass because there we get to, we're more relaxed. We're less formal. We're more informal. I guess that's where you could say we kind of take the gloves off. We definitely don't sugarcoat in the free challenge, but when you go to the backstage, that's where our challengers have an opportunity sometimes to see me as the student So me ride my horse in front of the camera with my stride coaches, showing the live audience, watch what happens when we give her instructions on how to change her body position just a sliver. I mean, a fraction of an inch. And everybody can see with their own eyes how it changes my horse. And once you see it, you cannot deny it. You can never unsee it. It is absolutely mind-blowing and life-altering. It's horse changing when you realize how much we've missed as an industry and as a tradition. And I believe it's because we've been so focused on performance and the prize and the output that literally we've missed the forest for the trees. So I'm very passionate about Half Second Faster Challenge. Like I say, it's free. It's kind of like a free clinic, for 5 days in a row. And what we're hearing back as feedback, people not only are clocking at least half a second faster, many times more within that first week, but they're saying things like, nobody's ever talked like this before. Why weren't we told things like this? Why didn't we know this sooner? This is better information than I've ever paid for. We've got barrel racers saying, hey, I've been to a lot of clinics and I've paid thousands and thousands of dollars. This free challenge is helping me more than anything I've ever invested in up until this point. And to those riders, we invite them to stay with us. We've got an extended course called 21 Days of Attunement. And that is where we're introducing this brand new style of riding. And it's called attunement. I think the biggest mistake people most often make when they hear me say the word attunement, they think, oh, well, I'm in tune with my horse. I know how to run barrels. Like, I don't need to take that, or I don't need to listen to that. So it's easier for them to hear it's a new way of riding. So literally, we're going to change your hips. We're going to change where you put your feet. We're going to change when you put your feet on the side of your horse. I'm going to change your hands, your elbows, your shoulder. And not drastically, we're talking about minimal, little teeny tiny adjustments, which are the mechanics. We talk a lot about the biomechanics of barrel racing, and we want to unravel that for today's modern day barrel racer. Because, more times than not, we've been spoon-fed what people are calling solutions in the form of products like, buy this bit, buy this saddle pad, buy these magic boots, buy this wonderful go fast paste and put it in your horse's mouth. Well, spend more money, buy this, bigger, badder feed. And if we don't change the way we ride, if we don't consider the math and the mechanics and the angles of the ride and the negative impact traditional styles are having on the horse, that's why we're chasing our tail. That's why we feel stuck in the rut, or like we're falling in between the D's. Like you're falling between the divisions. You just feel like I fell between the cracks again. Well, it's obvious once you know what to look for. And that's why we love unraveling the biomechanics of barrel racing. People can make more educated decisions with their money, their entry fee money, where they're going to enter their horse, when they're going to enter. And at the end of the day, we want to liberate the modern day barrel racer from what's not working.
I so appreciate the different visuals you gave there, kind of the forest for the trees deal, and how it sounds like you're getting in the weeds. You're diving into the details, the things that quite often, a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it. And some things, it's like you just don't slow down long enough to really pay attention to the root and of the cause and stuff there. So that is it's really exciting, the work that you guys are doing there. And you mentioned as well that you have coaches. So it's not just like you're selling something that you're like, oh, go do this. You are actively doing this, and you have coaches as well helping you. And think about any other industry out there, Kendra. Everybody talks about going to seminars and having coaches. And I think we're catching on, as an industry, but I'm just going to say it. I feel like we're behind there, behind and saying, let's continue to learn. Let's continue to do this. So I just love that you're sharing that and that you're not afraid of change.
Well, for a long time, I missed out on a lot of opportunities. I could have been doing this sooner, but I let pride and a poverty mentality get in my way. And I personally believe those are the two main culprits that plague our people. We're prideful, which isn't always a bad thing, but it is if it keeps you from learning something new that would save you time and make you more money. Okay, if it's gonna put more food on the table, that's a no-brainer. You need to pay attention. Or a poverty mindset. We have no problem spending money on our horses, but we very seldom invest in ourselves. But once you see that the way you were taught to run barrels is the problem that you're having to pay the vet for every 30 days or 90 days, I'm not saying that going to the vet isn't prudent, but if my team and I can help you not need to go as often, that's a wise business decision. Everybody's watching their money more carefully these days. And we're challenging the riders. We're not saying you don't ride poorly or you suck, as a rider, which a lot of people will say. If they're not saying it to your face, look out. Because we've all heard somebody say it behind somebody's back. That girl just needs to know how to ride. She just don't know how to ride. Man, I've heard that. I hear it every race I go to. Her problem is she just can't ride. Well, has anyone ever explained to her the biomechanics? Has anyone ever explained neurologically what's going on in her central nervous system and her horses? No, we've never had coaches like this before. We've never had stride coaches in this industry. I'm honored to be able to bring that to the sport of barrel racing through our team at Stall High. So yeah, it's fascinating to me, the things that I really felt like I was knocking out of the park. Yes, I was doing a good job, good enough to get me in the top 15 standings in the WPRA multiple times over the course of 9 years. But was it good enough to sustain those standings, sustain that rank long enough throughout the season to get to the NFR? No, I missed that mark. And I had blind spots in my posture that I was completely unaware of that were causing my horse to have to work harder, putting more torque on his joints, on his hocks, his stifles, his SI, because I just didn't understand the mechanics and the angles. I didn't understand how 1/8 of an inch or less change in my angle. And I'm talking about every part of my body. I didn't understand how that was actually impeding my horse's stride, not allowing him to access his fullest range of motion. We don't know that yet. No one's ever broken it down to that degree for us until our stride coaches came into the picture. And we're now really geeking out on the biomechanics and the neuroscience of the sport.
So how did you, Kendra, get past that pride and poverty mentality that you shared? I've got to believe it wasn't an overnight deal. I have my own struggles, with in those categories. And so I know listeners are probably thinking, how did she even get started to get over that?
It was a blind spot. I wasn't aware I wouldn't have said that I had a problem with pride, or really maybe I thought I was being prudent with my money, investing and stuff, but really feeling led to Stall High and to do something completely different and, quote, run with social media. Starting this company and starting this brand, I stepped into something that I knew zero about. So I had to become coachable. I had to listen. I had to pay, and I still pay people on a regular basis to teach me what I don't know. This is what I am driven to accomplish. This is what I feel like I'm led to do while my time is on earth. Like I'm the one to fulfill this right now. And I'm gonna do the best I can with the time I have and the resources that I have available to me. So building this really humbled me, and it taught me how to listen. It taught me how to seek out people who know more than I do. So it's been a very chaotic and also humbling journey. And it's taught me to appreciate other people's expertise. It's taught me to value investing in, finding an expert so that I don't lose time. If they can flatten my learning curve, time is very precious. Time is valuable. So for me, that's what helped me the most in the building of Stall High, the brand, and the online coaching community. I knew I did not want to, and I could not do it alone. So I started building a team of other coaches. And then when Michael Richardson and Leanna Ray entered the scene and the coaching, I could agree with them. Like, dang, they're freaking brilliant. Wow, like this is so good. That's so awesome. Like, I just loved everything they were saying, but it didn't really click. It didn't really sink in until they were here at my ranch. We were doing a half second faster challenge, and we were in that backstage pass Zoom. And they finally got brave enough to walk up to me and say, your foot position is the problem. What? My foot position? Like, I would have defended my foot position toe to toe. My foot position has been different than the way I was taught. I went through a lot of hardship to learn my foot position, and now they're coming to challenge it. But when I could see the immediate result in my horse, I knew, like right then and there, it hit me like a sledgehammer to the forehead. I need to latch onto this. This is what I didn't have. All those years I tried so hard, busted my butt. My family sacrificed trying to get me to the NFR, and I came up short. How many times? Well, here's the big fat missing link. So I knew I needed to latch onto it. I knew I needed to humble myself, close my mouth, open my eyes, and open my ears to receive their expertise.
That is so incredibly powerful, and such a great place to lead into our last question to wrap up this episode. Goodness gracious, this has been so powerful. Thank you, Kendra. And we wrap up every episode asking the question, what does the cowgirl state of mind mean to you? And you have been a leader in our industry for many, many years. And I know you're going to continue to go on and do tremendous things that will shape our industry's future. So what does that question mean to you?
Well, that's a great question, by the way. That's a beautiful question. I love
Thank
that you. If you don't mind, when I hear that, like cowgirl state of mind, I immediately think stall high state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
What do we represent? At the core, it boils down to one word, and that's freedom. We have the freedom to enjoy a magnificent lifestyle. And I feel like the cowgirl state of mind, whether you want to call it the stall high state of mind, women who live with that mentality are extremely loyal. We're loyal to our roots, and just being willing to do what needs to be done. Like it doesn't matter how hard it gets. I said for a lot of years, I'm hardwired to rodeo. That's what I love to do. And, come hell or high water, I was going to get to a rodeo. I didn't have a very good business plan at the time. And that's what stall high is teaching me. But that cowgirl spirit of independence, like we don't wait around for someone else to cater to us. My dad in the honey bun wagon, those were my earliest lessons. Get the gate, get out of the truck, get the gate, and don't walk. My dad would say, don't drag your feet. I walk fast, and I got that from my daddy. But it is that very strong-willed spirit and freedom. This is who we are, and not only are we willing to talk the talk, we live it. We live it every day, and we live up to it.
So beautiful, Kendra. Thank you again for being on the show and just sharing so much of your knowledge with us and what's going on with Stall High. I greatly appreciate you, and I just pray we get to connect in person someday real soon.
Let's do it.
Thank you for spending your time with me on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm so glad y'all stopped by. If you could take a moment to share this episode and tag us on social media, I'd be happier than a cowgirl in a sea of buy one, get one vintage turquoise. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. New episodes will be released bi-monthly. Please leave us a review if you feel so led by going to iTunes. Your feedback will really help us breed the idea of grabbing life by the horns with a cowgirl state of mind into women across the globe. Some that may have never even had the privilege to throw their leg over a horse, but could most certainly use the cowgirl state of mind while navigating life. Thanks again, y'all. Until next time, keep pursuing your dreams with that all go and no woe mentality. Remember, you're writing a story that's worth saddling up for, sister.